Okay, so I'm going to start because I've been thinking about how to start in this video, but I guess at first I'll say hello. My name is Isaac, and I am a freelancer based in Israel. I do web and just design in general, website development, and I mainly use, as probably most of will be watching this video, hopefully, using WordPress. I love WordPress. I've been using it on and off since I finished design school around, I would say like 12 years ago. And I've always been interested in code and web stuff. And so when I learned CSS, that's when I was like hooked. And during my career, I've been doing a lot of educational stuff as well, because that's also very interesting to me, and I've been doing it mainly in Hebrew. And the reason it's my native language. I mean, almost. I'm from South America originally, but I've been living here in Israel since '95, so quite a while. And so I've been working with WordPress and web technologies for quite a while now. And like everybody, I feel in the community, I was very, very excited when Gutenberg was first announced. And it was a real feeling that something is going to change and we're actually going to go into to the next step. But 5 years in, I feel like us, the people that have been working with WordPress day to day, just in the grind, are just not being heard. And we're actually not a real part of the WordPress building community like we should be. Now, this is not just about the WordPress team. This is also about us. And when I say us, I consider first and foremost myself and other freelancers and small agencies. Because big agencies, they got the money to do custom builds and custom block development and move from PHP to actually learning React, which I kind of know because, again, like I said, on and off, I sometimes code websites. I use different technologies for different needs for my clients, but mostly I lean towards WordPress just because not only I think it's an incredible tool, but I really like the ecosystem around it. The feeling is we're not being heard just because the ecosystem itself is so fragmented. So we use a lot of paid tools. I myself use a lot of Bricks as my main tool. I used to use Elementor way in the past. Now I mainly use that, and I've been trying for the last year and a half, I would say, to really get into block editing, trying to build my website. I've tried to rebuild it. Right now, my website is, I'll put a link if you want to see it. It's all block-based. It's using the 2024 theme. I feel that we haven't been heard just because the way that we position ourselves within the community. So it's to the extent that at first when I heard that the core team calls people who work outside of the inner circles, call it extenders, people who use, or maybe it's people that make plugins and page builders, extenders, and maybe we're beyond extenders. So we're considered, just awful, almost like an afterthought. If somebody is consuming something that is third party, that is built already on something what we built, and it really doesn't have to do anything with our core mission, so we're not really thinking about them. But the thing is, when you're in the work, right? When you're in your freelance job, when you're in your small agency, when you're in your team with 3, 4, 5 people, you do know that when you're in the market, that's what I'm trying to say. When you're in the market itself, when you're dealing with clients, you're dealing with invoices, and you're dealing with development issues and development successes, not only issues, right? Because there's most of the time, hopefully for everybody, things are going well with your businesses. You feel like you're the main driving force of WordPress, which I believe is true. I believe that freelancers and small agencies, those are the actual people who are driving adoption to the CMS. We are the reason that WordPress is as popular as it is, and it keeps moving forward. It seems from my various interactions with different people around the core teams, it seems like they still think about the small, shop owner, or the little, just like a person with a business idea. They go and do click, 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 clack. That's it. Boom. We got a website. Thank you, WordPress. Such an amazing platform. But it's not the truth. That's almost like a Shopify ad, right? It's not reality. The reality is they got a website. They try to build them by themselves. They mess up. That's the best. Sorry about the noise. That's the best case scenario, right? For them. The other, I don't know, best case scenario. That's the more regular scenario, I'll say even. And most of the time, what would actually happen is they will go and talk to other professionals in their field and say, hey, listen, I'm trying to start a website for my shop, for my hobby, whatever. Who do you recommend to build a website? And they'll recommend somebody. They recommend a freelancer, they recommend an agency they work with, they recommend a branding agency they work with, right? And they'll connect, they'll make the offer, and they'll start building the website. Now, it's up to us most of the time to pick the stack, right? The technology stack, because to be honest, business owners don't really care. And even if they do care, it always comes from the peer, right? Their group peer and their the environment that they're in. So if everybody in their environment is talking about WordPress, they'll go with WordPress. If everybody in their environment is talking about Shopify, they likely will ask for a Shopify website. So that's when we step in as professionals and we'll say, listen, for this is how much is going to be for this is going to be for that. These are the issues with this and the pros and cons for each of one of them. And I really think you should go with this one. And most of the time, we default to WordPress because it's really such a versatile tool. And that's the point. The point that we are the ones who are driving them into WordPress. And so here lies like the really big issue. Since we are driving people into WordPress all the time, at the end of the day, these people wouldn't be using WordPress if it wasn't for us. So the big issue is that we, as the main drivers of WordPress adoption, are so fragmented because of our commercial stacks and for the little tribes, right, that we built around Bricks, around Oxygen, around Elementor, around whatever. The issue with that is that eventually we are not utilizing the power that we have as a community inside of the bigger WordPress community in order to drive adopting things that we know that are right, like better standard practices of web development inside of WordPress, and many other things that we could influence and should influence, because it's not only, we shouldn't only criticize, that's pointless. Like, I know there's a lot of people who really would like to go and work within the Gutenberg ecosystem, but they can't because it's so lacking and it's so far from what we consider a standard web development environment, right? So what the core team calls what I could even call it, I don't remember, but something like a good experience. I don't want a good experience. I want standards that have been set, but if I go, how can I explain this in a good way? The way that I build my websites in 11t.js when I'm making static websites, and the way that I'm building my websites when I'm building in Webflow is the same way that I'm building them with bricks. That's the way I want to build websites inside of WordPress within the Gutenberg builder. It should be no different. All of these tools actually just follow standard practices of any other coder that should go and make, a standard website. And so I believe that eventually for us, the actual way forward into pushing forward both us as professionals and WordPress as a platform to the place that we want it to go is to actually be involved. And so I'm starting this new channel, and the point of this new channel is going to be actually go really deep into that and trying to find those places where we can contribute substantial information, processes, and everything that it takes to make Gutenberg go even slightly to the place that we want it to go. Because I feel that Gutenberg is really going into a content editing place, and it's treating everything like a content editing place. And once it encounters those bigger issues, for them there are issues, but they encounter the bigger concepts, right? Then it just falls apart, because it doesn't. The mindset is not, let's build a robust tool that adheres to best practices that then people can come and not only create websites, and we cater to the main persona, which are the freelancers and the small agencies, but people who get into building a website from WordPress, like hobbyists and whatnot, or people who are DIY, let them learn. And then you're doing like an amazing thing, because you're teaching people how to go off platform and then build websites there, or grow as a person, or grow. That's how it was, back in the day. Back in the day, when you needed to code your themes, you needed to code your things, you understood what a header is, what the WP footer is, the query loop, all those stuff. I'm not a coder, I wouldn't consider myself a developer by any means. I build websites. I know how to, type some code, whatever. I kind of know what I need to do for my professional needs, but I wouldn't consider myself like a hardcore developer. And that's what's so great about it. But I don't think that today somebody who is starting, and I do teach how to build websites. Like, that's another thing that I do on and off, like teach little courses how to build websites without tools. I'm using just like straight up WordPress. And now with the code editor, when I'm starting to teach this, I need to be like very careful, because I always need to reference back into proper web development standards, just because I don't want to leave my students, which usually are teens and young people, I don't want to leave them with incomplete knowledge. And that's actually what the block editor is doing by inventing all those really convoluted like terminologies, and just creating concepts that already exist, but they're like, I have a really big issue with that. There seems to be a real desire to create something new that wasn't here before, to solve a problem that's already been solved 1,000 times before. That's my biggest gripe with the Gutenberg overall. I need to go for sizing, typography, and a bunch of things. But I don't think that statement alone is not enough for me to go and move forward, because I've tried it. I've tried to vocalize it. I've tried to expand on it various times with different people at different channels. I know that Twitter is not the best way to communicate or explain that or have a conversation about it, but eventually, when I get people when I get people from when I get mad, and all this, maybe this is just like a, I'd say like an anecdote, but when Matt himself, suggests on Twitter me using a 2-year-old a block theme that hasn't been updated in 2-year-old, because I'm trying to look like for like a starter base theme that I can start working on, just to figure this out from my perspective, somebody who can code but really doesn't want to get into setting up an entire React environment every time you want to build like a little thingy. That's, I think, encapsulates how disconnected the people who are actually working on WordPress are from the main persona, which is driving adoption, which is driving innovation, which is actually driving the next generation of WordPress users, which are freelancers and small agencies. So this channel I'm going to start doing, and you can see that I'm here right on the Figma, and I was looking at the theme just to see, if I can find the thing that I'm missing so much, and I really can. I mean, these are fantastic designs, There are some people here who contributed, which are not part of the core team. People who are part of the core team. There's an official 2023 here. Really fantastic stuff. But at the end of the day, if you look at it, from both in the design and the content standard, sometimes you'll see some I don't know, like 71, pixels of padding. Like, what is that? What is that? And and how you even approach that in a modular way. So, and the reason that is an issue, and I don't want to get into making it into a rant, but the reason that is an issue is that because that has nothing to do with intrinsic design, but at the same time, they're telling us that intrinsic design is that what they're aiming for. But when you see on the design files that the actual decisions about coding and about sizing and about the intrinsic design itself are being done in the browser, right? The coding people are, let's call them coding people. That's how I'm not a developer, because I'm calling the coding people. But the coding people who are actually making the design decisions are somehow deciding that 71 pixels or 91, whatever that is a middle path between something and something. And since there's nobody there, I feel, that is actually trying to standardize any design process whatsoever regarding on how to start building a website from scratch using the block editor. And I feel that is a big miss, because we are not putting in the input. I hope that I can get some other people that are in the space to share their experiences with the block editor, their frustrations, and try to figure out solutions that we can actually deliver, well thought out arguments or well thought out solutions that we can deliver to the team for them to look and hopefully implement. Thank you very, very much. If you listened all the way to here, you watched the video, really appreciate that. I would really appreciate if you could spread this video. It's going to be a little choppy, because of this was really like a stream of consciousness of stuff that I've been thinking about for a while now. So this is the channel. Hope to see you next time. And yeah.